I'm Benjamin Mathis, and I'm the founder of Urban Confessional, a free listening movement. Thank you for your interest in joining us. We believe that being heard is so close to being loved that most people cannot tell the difference. And by doing something as simple as holding a free listening sign, you're helping to make the world a more compassionate, loving, and non-judgmental place for all to live. I know that setting out on the streets to free listen can be a scary thing. It requires us to be vulnerable, to make ourselves available, and you never really know what's going to happen. So, I gathered some of our most experienced listeners to share our keys to listening, discuss some of the challenges, give you some tools to help you start your own group, and ways to stay safe on the streets. Free listening's been a life-changing experience for me. Learning how to listen to others without judgment or agenda has affected all areas of my life. And at the end of this video, I hope you'll feel confident to take to the streets with sign in hand and share in the life-changing movement that is free listening. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, I'm Vivi, and I'm going to talk to you about Urban Confessional's 4 keys to listening. They are imbalanced conversation, empathetic engagement, honest barriers, and respecting the silence. When listening, we practice the art of the imbalanced conversation. Here's what this means. It means that roughly 80% of the talking is coming from the person you're listening to, and the other roughly 20% is coming from you as responses. Yes, it's okay to respond. No one likes to talk to a wall. But if you try to maintain an imbalanced conversation, you'll make sure that you're giving the speaker the room to be heard. Key number 2 is empathetic engagement. We're not here to change anyone's mind or offer advice. Sometimes people say things that we don't agree with or that you may find distasteful. But we're here to give our attention, not impose our intention. If someone says something you disagree with, simply ask them how they arrived at their opinion. Encourage them to tell their story, and if you listen closely, you'll hear the person, not just the opinion. Key number 3 is honest barriers. When someone comes to you to speak to you, do your best to put your sign down. Uncross your arms, take your sunglasses off. Like a cab with its lights on, this sends the message that you're no longer available to anyone else, and that you are totally committed to the person in front of you. That said, sometimes maintaining honest barriers can be very important. If someone is making you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to keep your sign up. Sometimes an honest barrier is the very thing that allows you to be truly present with the other person. So take your time and do what feels right. Key number 4 is respecting the silence. This is an important part of free listening. Sometimes in conversations, moments of silence happen. And when they do, allow them to happen. Resist the urge to fill the silence. It's often in these moments that the person will say what they've been scared to say, the thing weighing heaviest on their hearts. Stay with them in the silence. Be patient and let them fill it.
Hi, I'm Kiara, and I'm going to cover the 4 types of questions that will redirect the conversation back to the person sharing and maintain the proper imbalance between the speaker and the listener. The first are open questions. These are often the most important questions. Open questions like, how are you doing and where are you from, are great to initiate contact with a curious would-be speaker. They can also be used to redirect the conversation when the speaker asks you questions. For example, if a speaker asks you about your views on politics, you can redirect the conversation by asking the open question, what do you think of the current political climate? This communicates a genuine interest in their views and gets them thinking. Next are clarifying questions. These are questions that ask the speaker to clarify things they've said. Questions like, when did this happen? How old were you? Did you say you were at home when this happened? Show the speaker that you are actively listening and are truly interested in understanding the details of their story. The third type of questions are leading questions. These questions give the speaker permission to go further with their story if they'd like to, especially when you notice that they want to talk about something but are a little nervous to get started. Questions like, how is your relationship with your wife now? Have you been looking for work lately? Let the speaker know that it's okay to continue talking about a difficult topic. Finally, and maybe the most important, is the positive redirect. These questions can be used when you notice a speaker cycling into hopelessness. These are the questions to use after a degree of trust and intimacy has been established. Questions like, what are you grateful for and what's the best thing about your life, can give the speaker a new perspective and help stop a downward spin. These questions serve to redirect their perspective and to help ensure that they leave you in a better place than when they first approached you.
Hello, I'm Karina, and I believe that good listening inspires free speech. When we listen effectively, we create a welcoming space where people are invited to share honestly. But sometimes this is difficult, so I'm going to discuss the 4 biggest things that keep us from listening effectively: avoidance, judgment, self-consciousness, and obligation. The first is avoidance. You check your watch, you shift your weight, you start to think about all the things that you should be doing other than free listening. Usually this happens because we're uncomfortable with making ourselves fully available. I understand completely. But overcoming avoidance takes courage. When we focus on the needs of the speaker instead of our own nervousness, we can shift our priorities and give ourselves fully to the conversation at hand. The second hurdle is judgment. Let's face it, we all judge people. We judge them for how they look, what they believe, where they live. We judge people for the kind of food they eat and the clothes they wear. We're good at judging, but it makes listening impossible. Instead of committing to judging others, free listening asks us to commit to understanding others. When we listen to understand, we remove the judgments and let the person reveal themselves, when they will, how they will, and if they will. The third hurdle is self-consciousness. It's easy to feel like we're the ones being evaluated by the person we're listening to. When we feel self-conscious, it means we are more involved in ourselves than the person in front of us. To overcome this, get interested in the person speaking to you. Ask them questions, see them in a new way, and listen more deeply. Interest in the other person will lead to involvement in the other person, and that gets rid of self-consciousness. The last hurdle is obligation. This is the voice that tells you that you're doing it all wrong. To overcome obligation, take a breath and embrace the freedom that's tied to free listening. There is no right way to do this. Vulnerability can be sloppy, but it's beautiful. You won't mess this up, we promise.
Hey, I'm Alec. Free listening can be an exciting way to serve. I'm going to cover some tips for starting your own group and keeping them safe. Remember, you don't have to have a degree, a license, or special training to free listen. All you need is an open mind, and willing heart and 2 ears. To start your own group, get some friends, some markers, and a few cardboard boxes. Then make your signs. There's no right way to make a sign. Feel free to be as simple or as colorful as you want. Once you have your team and your signs, choose a place with heavy foot traffic. Sit or stand in one place, hold your free listening sign, and wait for people to approach you. When you're done, feel free to take a group picture and send it to us. We'll use pictures to help raise awareness and inspire other people to participate. Here are a few points you should communicate to your group before you begin. We are here for them. That's all. No agenda, no strings attached. We are passive opportunities for people to share. Try not to approach people, let them come to you. We do not record anyone, ever. Stay in groups of 2 or 3. More than 3 people together just kind of looks weird. If you are asked to move from your location, move graciously. Do not engage in territorial conflict with authorities. If people want to know why you're doing this, just let them know you are part of a movement that believes people need to be heard. Feel free to direct them to our website or social media. It's also important to discuss safety with your group. Here are some basic safety tips from lessons we've learned on the streets. Choose well-trafficked areas to free listen. Make sure everyone is in eye contact with each other. Dress casually, don't look nice. Don't bring bags or any personal things to a free listening event. Do not allow anyone to use your phone. If you feel uncomfortable with someone, politely suggest that you include another listener. You can always say no to someone if they ask you to do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Finally, it's helpful to come up with a catchphrase or a safe word as a group in order to exit a conversation if you are feeling unsafe. For example, if someone is making you feel unsafe, politely saying something like, "I'm so sorry, but we have to be somewhere. It's time for us to leave," will allow you to exit the conversation and experience without offending the speaker. We use this as an indirect safety tactic to avoid inciting any aggressive responses from people who may make you feel unsafe. As always, if you have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out on our website or through our social media.
Thank you so much for listening. Free listening is an exciting way to serve and to grow, and it will affect you. Sometimes it feels great, and sometimes things can get really, really heavy. As you set out on the streets, I encourage you to remember this. If your listening does not include yourself, it's incomplete. Take time to check in with yourself, challenge yourself, but stay safe, and most of all, have fun. This is the loudest time in human history, and it's time we slow down, pay attention, and listen. Thank you for being part of this movement. By joining us on the streets, you're joining a community of thousands of people from over 75 countries across the world. And if we keep going, if we keep listening, I know we can change the world one story at a time. Thank you for listening.